This is going to be the start of a new series that I'm going to just be calling my Collection Reveal series, part one. And what I'm going to be doing throughout this series is basically dividing up my collection into small videos that I can make, showing basically 10 cards at a time. And the reason why I'm doing it this way instead of like doing a top 100 or top 50 of my cards is that, well, for a couple of reasons really. One is that whenever you're collecting, you're always adding new cards to your collection. And so if I did, a top 100 or top 50, obviously I'm going to have new cards coming into my collection that aren't going to be included in that video after I buy them when I've already made that video. But then also, by doing my collection reveal this way, I can also add in cards that, maybe aren't within that high value range that, I maybe find interesting and want to collect, but are of very low value, and I want to show like on video, or maybe other collectors might find them interesting as well. And then also by doing it this way, it's like a really nice way that I can kind of just like make really quick short videos, but have them still be interesting. I can add in those cards that I find interesting that might not be low value, but then also those high value cards that everybody gets excited for and wants to see. And then also by doing the collection reveal this way, it's really nice for me personally because I can show the cards that I want to show, or keep the ones that I don't want to show necessarily out on video and stuff close to the chest. Sometimes that is the case with collecting. Yeah, everybody has when you're collecting, everybody has cool shit that they want to show off, and doing the collection reveal this way is what I think is probably like one of the best ways to do to show off my clone collection and make it interesting. And so we'll just get started here. I'm gonna probably just go from lowest value to highest value and have suspense build up, just for fun of it. But starting off with like just this low value card. This is a Beckett 9.5 Gen Mint Japanese Duelist Legacy Volume 3 of the Ultimate Fisherman, or Legendary Fisherman, sorry. And this is a reprint card. It's not valuable at all. I picked this up for like 15 bucks or whatever. And really the only reason why I have this card, even it's a reprint, it's just not like a collector card really, is because of the censorship on this card. You can, like I've talked about this before, but the harpoon head on this, where in the English print, Upper Deck censored that out, or Upper Deck or Konami, I'm not sure which. I think it's Upper Deck that decided to do the censorship on it, but yeah, so they took out that spearhead and added in like, I don't even know how to explain it, but if you've seen the card, you know what it looks like. So I've always found these like censorship cards between the original Japanese prints and the English prints to be incredibly interesting. It's just like a big culture thing, really. Like this is a good example where like it's just a spearhead. It's probably one of the dumbest censorships that Yu-Gi-Oh's ever done, or Upper Deck. But there's, considering that there's far more like gruesome weapons that have probably been shown within the artworks of these cards. But and not even just for Yu-Gi-Oh, but also for Pokemon, where like you have like Jinx that got censored from being colored black to colored purple because of like black facing and being like the belief that it was like a stereotypical like racial thing towards African Americans, when actually it was a cultural thing in Japan with the Gongoro girls. So like I've just always found these censored cards incredibly interesting and wanted to add them into my collection because of that cultural differences between like Japan and then Europe or the United States, English speaking countries. And so next, this is a card I've shown before, but I just really like it. I'm gonna add it in here. Is this first edition 9 OC Tyrant Dragon, and I just recently did a box opening of Legacy of Darkness, and I talked about opening boxes or opening product and expecting to get your money back, how it's never really a good thing. And really when you're opening those packs and cards, like you never know what you're going to get. And so like especially with Legacy of Darkness, because off-centering is such a huge thing, where like literally I could have opened that Legacy of Darkness box and got cards centered like this, where like the centering is just absolutely terrible. Luckily I didn't, but it is always an option, especially for Legacy of Darkness, where that centering is just notoriously bad. Also for like Dark Crisis, where those cards tend to be off-centered by nowhere near as badly as this usually, but those tend to have off-center cards, and then Magician's Force also has notorious off-centering, especially for like the Dark Magician girl, because it's such a rare pull. But interesting card to show off there. Next, we got the PlayStation promo. Nice prismatic of the Metal Morph. Just looks nice, you know. Something to add into the collection. Not too terribly hard to get or expensive, but something that you just want to add into the collection. It looks nice, really. Any of these prismatic hollow foil cards, like, they just always look nice. They got that nice sparkle to them. Next card is a really interesting one. It's a Japanese no rarity symbol Machamp right here. Within Pokemon cards, there's supposed to be a rarity symbol within this bottom right hand corner. The rarity goes, circles are common cards, diamond shape is a uncommon card, and then stars are rare cards. And then they've also changed it, like with like the shinings, they were like triple stars and stuff. But that's typically the base is those circles, diamonds, and stars. And on the first, like, really, like, these came in like small boxes, these no rarity symbol cards. Within like the first wave of those like small like trainer boxes, I think they were. These hollow foil cards, well, not all of them, not just the hollow foil, all the cards from the base set didn't have these rarity symbols. And so typically it's a PSA 8, and typically whenever I collect anything Pokemon Japanese, I always want 10s, because Japanese Pokemon cards, they just grade better, like they're higher quality of card stock and printing, and so they just grade really well. And I just always want to get the PSA 10s, because I know you can get them and they're not too terribly bad, and especially for anything that's not like a really high like value of rarity. But for these no rarity symbol cards, getting a PSA 10 is like in the thousands of dollars range, and I just don't want to pay that for this, so I just got the 8. But then also I got it for a good price, but there's another big reason why I got this is because of this like centering. You can see where this left border over here is incredibly thin, and this right border is thick, but it's not so obvious on the back. Actually, the back centering is pretty decent. So I'm probably going to break this out and send it back to PSA. I don't know if the person who originally graded this marked it so that it wouldn't have any qualifier grades on this, which is something you can do when you grade with PSA. So if they did that, that would explain why it didn't get the OC grade. This very easily should get the OC grade, I think. I've got a Mew that looks exactly like this, where the centering is pretty much exactly the same, that has the OC grade. So I definitely plan on sending this back and or breaking it out and sending in and hoping to get an OC, because getting like a no rarity OC grade on this card would just be amazing. Basically like a double error card, and I would love to have that in my collection. And also, for whatever reason, this card is actually loose. You can hear it rattling around, and that just annoys the hell out of me. So another big reason why I'm just going to pop it out and send it back. And here we have what I consider to be a very undervalued set, is the Magic Rulers. First edition PSA 10. These cards are just like really undervalued, I believe, right now. A lot of it's because Magic Ruler, a lot of those cards and within the set are basically been permabanned, like this Giant Trunade, Heavy Storm, Snatch Steel, Delinquent Duel, Force Entry, I can't remember one of those two. Those are like just 5 or 6 cards right out of Magic Ruler, or super and ultra rares that are banned, and they just don't have the value because I think it's a lot to do with being basically just on the ban list for so long. But these are extremely good cards and like very iconic cards. Giant Trunade was an iconic card because of how powerful it is. Heavy Storm, Snatch Steel, Delinquent Duel, all those cards are really iconic. High rarity, vintage Yu-Gi-Oh cards that I think should be selling for more and should be of higher value. So if anyone's wanting to, collect vintage Yu-Gi-Oh cards, those Magic Ruler cards right now, like, they're not terribly expensive. They're really classic cards, and I think they're going to go up for sure. So I would definitely suggest any, new collectors or, collectors of Yu-Gi-Oh that don't have those cards to get them now. And then here's another super rare from Legend of Blue Eyes, first edition, Dark Hole, PSA 10. This is just iconic card. Been a staple in decks for a long time now. Like, just one of those cards that's just standing the test of time, still used in modern decks even to this day. So just really iconic card that, just really good to have in any Yu-Gi-Oh collection. And then here's the Yu-Gi-Oh card that's actually of the newer era. Whenever you're talking about collecting Yu-Gi-Oh cards, it's almost always you're talking about those vintage, LOB to, like the GX era, and maybe some of like the Ghost Rares or whatever, and those Ultimate Rares. But, this is a newer card where, this is, I believe, the only Ultimate Rare printing of Trishula. This card right here is the Astral Pack of Trishula APO8. Gem Mint 10, obviously any Ultimate Rare is like incredibly hard to grade. If you've tried to grade them yourselves or just seen them on the market, it's hard to get those 10s on those Ultimate Rares. There are just so many issues with like the surface, and then like the back having those square box indentations on them. This is definitely, I think, a card that's going to go up in value. One that I wanted to definitely get in my own collection, but it's Trishula, one of the best synchro summon cards. Was banned for quite a while. Just recently now got unbanned after having its effect changed slightly, the wording on the effect, so it's not as powerful. But a 2015 card, so there are new era Yu-Gi-Oh cards that do have collector value, I believe, and this is an example of one of them where I'm pretty sure this is the only English Ultimate Rare printing of Trishula. So getting a card like this, definitely like something that I wanted to add into my own collection and take a chance on. See, I'm almost positive it's going to go up in value, but you never can predict for sure. And here's another card that I've shown before, the PSA 8 Stage Error Blastoise. For Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh is my main collector thing, or my main collection. Pokemon is kind of like a side collection thing, and Pokemon values for like first edition cards are just incredibly high. You get those 10s. Those 10s are just astronomically high in price. 9s sometimes can be affordable, but sometimes can be incredibly expensive as well. So I just collect those 8s. So pretty much my entire English Pokemon set is like first edition 8s cards. It's because they're more affordable, and then I can collect basically more artworks, more sets by collecting these 8s and not paying an arm and a leg for each PSA 10. So that's just what I do for my Pokemon collection. And just to give an example, I had a 9 version of this card that I just recently sold, just because I wanted to keep the 8s, to keep everything like nice and fluid and nice and similar within my Pokemon collection. But yeah, this is the Stage Error Blastoise. It's a unlimited, but up here in the right hand corner you can see that the word stage is smeared out on the printing of this card. So really well known and highly desired Pokemon era card. It's about like $150 to $200 value range. And then have a big card right here to show off the Metal Raiders First Edition PSA 10 Barrel Dragon. Another card that got censored from the Japanese to English, where the Barrel Dragon, these barrels were actually like guns with revolvers around them. I actually like the English print better. I think it looks a lot more unique and interesting than like actual guns for arms and stuff. But I want to talk about Metal Raiders right now, because Metal Raiders right now, these ultra rares for Metal Raiders are selling for like 150, each. And first edition PSA 10 is what I mean. Those first edition PSA 10 Metal Raiders ultra rare cards are like, I've been seeing them a lot on eBays and stuff for just 150 each, and I think that's an incredible value on these cards. If you think about it, just real quick, first edition Metal Raiders 24-pack boxes, those things sell for like around 700 now, sometimes up to 800. And you're talking about pulling, a Barrel Dragon, a Mirror Force, a Solemn Judgment, those ultra rare, like high value cards, getting them sent to PSA, getting the Gem Mint 10 best grade possible, and you're only selling them for 150. Like, that math just does not add up. So again, like if you're a collector or you don't have these cards yet or want to get into collecting, like I would highly suggest buying these Metal Raiders PSA 10 first edition cards, because they are at a very low price for what I think they should be right now, and I do not believe you'll ever see them like going this low again. I think they should be selling for, you know, at least like 250 to probably like 300, so like double what they're selling right now. But that's partly, I think, because the Yu-Gi-Oh market, the buyer market, just hasn't caught up quite yet with like what Pokemon is. Like it's Yu-Gi-Oh is just now starting to get the ball rolling, and I think that buyer market's going to start catching up. Those collectors are going to start wanting these cards. It might take it's going to take longer than Pokemon, obviously. Yu-Gi-Oh just doesn't have the fame that Pokemon does, but I believe it'll get there soon, and I believe that, you know, these Metal Raiders PSA 10s cards for the first edition are going to be huge investments. I've already been buying multiple copies of them just because I think they're good investments. And then lastly, the last card is a big one. The first edition PSA 10 Stardust Dragon. This is a really big card for any collection. I'll go over why partly. For one, it's a ghost rare. It's one of the highest rarity cards that you'll see basically. And then also for this this set, the Duelist Genesis set, there weren't actual first edition booster boxes printed for this. Instead, all the booster boxes were unlimited, and the first edition packs went into the collector's tins. And, you know, Konami was trying to promote those collector's tins at the time, so they put those first edition packs in the collector tins, and in those collector tins you only get, I think, like 5 or 6 first edition packs. So, I mean, pack-wise, they're just not as many. Like, I doubt, like, those collector tins sold as well as like booster boxes would, or that they even got printed or produced as much. You know, what's easier, making a cardboard box with a whole bunch of packs in them, or an actual like aluminum tin with only like 5 or 6, you know, first edition packs in them. So the packs themselves are rare, and then the pull itself is like incredibly rare. Like getting a ghost rare, even out of like the unlimited cards, like it's just hard to do. Or out of the unlimited packs, I should say. And then even if you do get the, you know, godly ghost rare pull, the holofoil on these ghost rare cards are just so likely to get scratched within those packs. Just any kind of movement around, like from other cards, you can pull these cards right out of the pack, and there'll be scratches up and down. You know, these holofoil ghost rare. So I mean, getting this card in a Gem Mint 10 first edition is just, I think it's going to be a really big high value card. Big enough that it's going to start challenging like the DDS Blue Eyes White Dragon and like the LOB cards. It's already pretty high value. So, and then I just wanted to add this to my collection. It's definitely like a damn beautiful card. So that's going to be part 1 of my collection reveal series. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I wanted to do a really strong part 1, so keep the interest going for when I do my next parts. And as always, thank you for watching.